Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the 72-hour period, which is the period of time the receiving facility can legally hold you if you are the subject of an involuntary Baker Act. And remember, there's two types of Baker Act. One is involuntary and one is voluntary. When it's involuntary, it's up to 72 hours. When it's voluntary, it's potentially, well, for as long as the facility wants to keep you. And the calls that we've been getting lately have been saying, well, it's now over 72 hours. Why is my loved one still there? Okay, that's a great question. And so let me ask you guys some questions. Number one, how do you know they're involuntary? If they are, how do you know the clock's ticking? If the clock is ticking, how do you know when it started? Well, I mean, seriously, how do you know when it started? Was your loved one at a hospital? They could have been at a hospital for a period of time. If they're pending medical clearance, there's no clock ticking. If they're at a facility and the end of the 72 hours falls on the weekend, guess what? It rolls over until the next working day, right? And presumably, if that's a Monday, and that Monday is a holiday, well, then it rolls till Tuesday. So, again, how do you know that your loved one is even supposed to be entitled to be released? So think about this logically. Somebody spends a week in a hospital, right? They've been Baker Acted, but they're pending medical clearance. So the clock's not ticking. They then get transferred to a behavioral health unit. That is when the 72-hour clock, if they are involuntary, starts to tick. That was one of the changes to the statute. It's not ticking while they're in the hospital. It's only ticking when they're in a behavioral health unit or some type of licensed Baker Act receiving facility. 71 hours and 59 minutes in, the facility says, you know what? We think you still meet criteria, so we're going to file to keep you. We're going to file a petition for placement. Well, great, okay. That hearing, because in order to keep you for an extended period of time, that hearing takes place within 5 days. So think about the insanity of this. A week in the hospital, 72 hours for involuntary detention, and then potentially another 5 days waiting to see a judge. Oh, and by the way, if they get a court order, it could be up to another 6 months. So this is why I am so emphatic about not waiting to take action. If you want to wait, that's fine. I'm just telling you that there are potential significant consequences of waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and hoping that your loved one gets released. It's possible they get released. Some people do. In my instance, as I think I told you, I had a family member that was Baker Acted. I got lucky. They got released pretty quickly. But there are some people who don't. And then what happens is the facility files a petition for placement. Sometimes they don't tell the family there's going to be a hearing. And before you know it, there's a court order in place for another 30, 60, 90 days. And you're like, hold on a second. How did that happen? Well, it happened because nobody bothered to take action to get the person out. I mean, that's just it. I mean, I'm not trying to point fingers here. This is a no judgment zone. I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. And that's it. So if you are thinking that your loved one's getting out after 72 hours, maybe they are, but I think there's a very strong possibility, especially if they have health insurance, that they're not going anywhere. And so the best time to fight is as soon as they have been detained, because the 72 hours is not a windfall for the facility. They can only keep them up to 72 hours on an involuntary basis if they actually met criteria. Well, if you want someone to take a look at and see whether or not they met criteria, we got to get the facility in front of a judge. That's not happening unless you're hiring somebody like me to do that. And by the way, if your loved one is in a facility and you're not a lawyer, you can't file on their behalf. You are not a lawyer. You're not allowed to practice law. You're not allowed to represent a loved one in court. That's a crime, by the way. And I did a whole video on that. So I hope you understand what's going on here, which is why I'm so passionate. Don't wait to fight. Don't wait to fight. Anyway, I appreciate you tuning in. I'd love a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.